I'm Alex.
And I'm Teddy.
And we are
The Button Mappers.
Hey, the Button Mappers. Hey everybody, welcome to the Button Mappers, the only show on the internet that's not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Download today. Join a fantasy game or something.
I thought we weren't sponsored by it.
Yeah, but I'm still gonna
not to buy it.
Well, I want to be sponsored by it though. That's the thing.
Oh, gotcha. You got YouTube envy.
Who is this? What's happening, Teddy? What's happening?
Hey, I'm Ethan Grimes. I guess you're introducing me as from what it all meant, but I'm really just some schlub. So.
Don't you know Alex in real life?
Yeah, we went to high school together. Good
That's
friends
special.
for a long time, and then moved to Lexington and did all the, I guess, the Lexington stuff. So anyone here would know that doesn't mean shit. But
I'm just tacking your name on your channel name on this video to try to like suck some subscribers.
Oh yeah.
That's the
Make
real
sure you
plan.
put in
That's
the analytics. Just make sure it's at least 10 minutes. Make sure that you put in a bunch of random shit that I'm like
Yep.
every frame of painting, and that fucking guy that makes those beautiful animations that take way more time than I've ever put into anything. Just put that guy's name in there, Captain Christensen or whatever.
I thought you were going to say Captain Christian.
Captain Christian.
Like we're tapping into a new subscriber base.
Yeah. Just put all of those people's names in. Because then you can be like, oh, it's tangentially related because some other fuck that talks about movies is on.
I just missed that because my thing froze up, but it's fine. It was like 30 seconds.
Oh, it's fine. It's recorded. There'll just be an awkward pause. It's okay.
Yeah, I just will be talking.
Well, actually, it's edited, so you can just like cut it down and then make me look like an idiot.
Okay. I was just sitting in silence,
I'm fine
like,
with
hello. But,
You can still hear me now, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Teddy,
Hi, Alex.
what's up?
What's happening?
We're doing game talk today.
Woohoo! Game
It's
talk.
been like a month since we've done a game talk. So,
and we'll do our best to analyze what these games all meant.
I don't know if I expressed to you, Teddy. I'm still fucking happy not to be doing Pokemon videos anymore.
Really? Don't you
That
want to be
month
the
of-
very best?
That month of Pokemon video, like the fucking Pokemon videos, drained me.
I guess
I
it's
have-
real challenging.
I have nothing to say
I'm
about Pokemon
happy about
anymore.
that too. Yeah, I don't think I had anything to say about Pokemon to begin with, so I'm glad you didn't ask me on earlier.
So
I did make that mistake. I asked one person who was in our kind of circle, like, "Hey, I think you'd be great for this month," and they were like, "No, I don't play Pokemon for shit."
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So yeah, that
Yeah, I
one was
think
a
I
flop.
played Diamond and Pearl and then Platinum, like to completion, and then every single release past that, it was either like, the next one I played like 80% of it, and then the next one was like 45%, and then the next was like 10%, and then I sold it back, and then I forgot that it was a franchise until every other year when people talk about it.
Let's see, we were playing Sword and Shield, and that was the last game talk, and then we were like, oh, let's do a full month, and then like by the end of it, I was like, I have absolutely nothing to say about Pokemon anymore.
Right.
No regrets.
Anyway, I guess we should just hop on in with the questions.
Sure, I've got them up.
Alright.
I filtered them. This is Game Talk. We ask for questions. You drop us questions in the comments. I know it's kind of ironic that you comment a question, but that's the policy. So we have approximately 9 comments from the Edge Network.
No, we're not.
I'm not reading all of them.
If you
don't
read all
worry.
Spencer's comments, I'm not.
No, but I did want to address some things. You got blasted in the comments for last time when you were asked to design an RPG, and then everyone said you said Persona.
I
Did you
didn't
wanna
say
address that?
Persona. No, I wanted it to take place in the real world, not like a high school fantasy world where people have monsters. Like I wanted like a real world RPG. That's not fucking Persona.
And to be fair, I didn't actually think you said that either. But anyway,
I say-
people.
But I did comment back. I forget who it was. I think it was Terry or Spencer. I don't know. But I did compare Persona to Mega Man Battle Network, and I'm proud of that.
Okay. I'll have to listen back to see that connection.
Well,
The first
it
question
was just
is
a comment. But
is completely unironic. It comes from the Itch Network. He asks, "Isn't Sonic Boom the best Sonic game?"
Stop. No, we're not reading all Spencer's
It's a
bullshit.
question. I'm gonna acknowledge it's question mark.
Hey, what they were trying for originally, sure, it sounded promising. Like trying to do a big new Origins thing and like put a bunch of lore into it. Because I mean, Sonic has shit lore like normally. Like, at least they were trying to do something, and then Sega kept telling them like, hey, you can't have this character have this job because only Tails and Eggman can have this job, like as an inventor, or like, hey, you're gonna have to, instead of putting it on current gen consoles, throw it on the fucking Wii U with CryEngine. God, I don't even remember which one it was, but like, yeah, they got really fucked over. It seemed like it could have been a really interesting, good Sonic game, and then they bungled it. Sega did.
What else is new with Sega?
Yeah, right. That's a slow grade. Like most, game studios, it's like kind of peaks up and then kind of crashes really fucking hard. Sometimes they crawl their way back up, but Sega's just like it's just going straight down.
Yeah, I mean they cling to what works for them though, so I gotta pay respects for like their recent endeavors, even if it is kind of one-sided towards Yakuza style
Well, even
games.
then, I guess I think of like their internal teams. You know what I mean? Because like, unless I'm mistaken, Yakuza is made by like a very specific team. Like, yes, it's owned by Sega, but it's like they're essentially just running their own studio at this point.
Mm.
Or like even like Alien Isolation was great, and it was Creative Assembly, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm uninformed.
Aren't we all?
Right.
Terry 309,
Yes,
scrolling at the bottom of his lovely essay, asks, "What is your dream sequel to a game? Parentheses, no Nintendo Sega games allowed." And
Damn
parentheses,
it!
Question mark.
Damn it, Terry. Why'd you do this to me?
You were about to say Spencer.
Damn it, Spencer. He has some influence, I guess.
Here in the
Damn.
button mapper
Dream
community.
sequel. No Nintendo, no Sega. So F-Zero's at the window.
Shucks, because that's like the best of both worlds. Dream sequel. Maybe we should have put more thought to this, but I don't know. Just like off the cuff, I love my Dragon Quest games. I wouldn't mind a new one in the vein of some of the classic ones, or even fully realized, kind of like 11. I wouldn't mind getting an American version of Dragon Quest X, just to say that like we got it, and technically that is a sequel in the series. So.
Right. Isn't there an option in Dragon Quest XI that like can make it more turn-based, and then like the Switch port doesn't have like a graphical change to like an older style? Does that do anything for you?
Yeah, there's the Switch version. You could technically switch between versions. That's pretty awesome.
Right.
But I don't know if by the end of that adventure I'd really feel so compelled to replay the same game over again.
Oh, fair enough.
It'd be interesting, but that's 200 hours or 100 hours.
However, yeah, fair enough. That's my problem with the upcoming Persona 5 Royal, where I'm like, oh, I really want to play that extra content. God, I do not want to play through that entire game again. As much as I loved it, it's so fucking long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. If it was just like add-on DLC, maybe, like if I love the game that much, and I do, I think it's a great game, I'd be more inclined to play it. But I'm not inclined to replay from the start, especially when you get things like New Game Plus in Persona 5,
Right.
that change the way you play.
Exactly.
Okay.
I guess my answer, just because like I don't have my shelf behind me because I'm like recording downstairs, I was gonna do a quick look and be like, oh, I totally had this presented. No, I don't. But going through my list of like what I've played recently, the change between Evil Within 1 to Evil Within 2 was like such a fucking marked improvement. I'd love to see a third one that like either continued in a different path or like continued to do interesting things. I know that team is making Ghosts of something or other. Or
that ghost game.
Whatever was shown at E3. Yeah, right. The thing that looked, really great CG trailer.
Ramen
Love
looked
to see
good.
some gameplay. Right. So like maybe that'll essentially be like a third one, but yeah, I would love to see a sequel to that. And it feels dead in the water, especially since they have a new IP, but they might go back to it. I'd be interested to see what they do.
I'm gonna go with
Alex.
Okami.
Okay.
because that game's great, and they did
Already got a sequel.
They did the DS game, yeah, but like I want like an actual sequel.
Is Okami Den really that much of a dream sequel to Okami?
Yeah, it's exactly.
It's good.
Like you know, because like all of all like Capcom properties, like I was gonna say Beautiful Joe, but like they've done plenty of those at this point. I don't really care, but like there's only one true like console Okami game, and it's kind of like it's terrible. Like because the game's so good, they should just they could be doing more like much more with that franchise.
Yeah.
Would you want to keep the brushstroke mechanic?
Yeah, definitely. That's what makes the game unique too.
Okay.
It's like you don't get items, you just get paint.
Yeah. It'd be cool if you could interact with the world even more. Like go like a Breath of the Wild design standpoint where it's like all the different things affect different elements in the environment because they all have like certain properties. I could see that. And hey, they already stole from Zelda the first time. I shouldn't say steal. They've already borrowed ideas from Zelda the first time. So
they borrowed the formula
like,
pretty much.
Yeah. It's not like they couldn't also lift elements of Breath of the Wild. It's not like Breath of the Wild is like such its own 100% completely its own thing either, you know.
Thanks for the thanks for the question, Terry.
I would also drop in a Banjo 3E, but
well, stop.
Nuts and bolts.
I don't. Okay,
Everyone's favorite.
As I said, Banjo 3E.
Banjo 3E.
But, yeah. Ukulele tried.
Yeah. Who's next? I'm the chat room below.
Oh, we got a SNES mapper here, and he asks.
Hey.
Yeah, kind of a new face around here, but he's a good homie. Question for the future, which is now. What is your favorite Platinum Games game?
Oof. Shit.
Yeah, I can't start with that one. I'm not too familiar with their catalog.
Oh. I'm sorry, Teddy. Damn, that's a tough call for me. I'm gonna say Nier Automata because the game's just fucking fantastic.
Yeah, seconded. If I'm gonna think just to like have a different answer, like my runner-up would probably be Vanquish, maybe. Like I'd have to replay it because like Bayonetta 1 and 2 like stuck in my mind, and I've played them like multiple times and like somewhat recently. Whereas Vanquish, like I played it just the once and then my like disc broke, and I just haven't felt the need to like buy it again. But like that experience was really good. But again, it's like if Vanquish is like at my fucking eye level, like Nier Automata or Automata is like to my fucking ceiling right now. Like the power gap between them, because Automata is like best of all of everything that makes a game is excellent.
Man, when that game was announced, I was like, they were like, we're doing a Nier sequel, and I was like, cool, and they were like, with Platinum Games, and I was just like, are they doing this for me?
Yeah, every couple of years a game gets announced and I'm like, this is just for Alex.
Yeah.
Like Travis Strikes Again, and then obviously No More Heroes 3, and then that gets announced. I'm like, what kind of sway does Alex have? Where's his connection?
They're like, we need his money.
I'm like, what the fuck?
You played Mad World, right, Teddy?
Yeah, but I would put don't kill me, Star Fox Zero over that.
Oh shit, you did play Star Fox Zero. You can put Star Fox Zero over Mad World?
Hell yeah, I didn't like Mad World that much. I don't know, it's just stylistically, I didn't really much care for it. And conceptually, I really did like the idea for Star Fox Zero, but Wii U, what can I say?
Right.
I would also like to play Infinite Space. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
That's a DS game, I believe.
Yeah.
I haven't played it.
Yeah. Like 20% of a box art is like hovering in my mind right now.
It's kind of a sought after sci-fi RPG for the DS. I know they did repros of it, but I don't know. It's interesting. So, one day.
Okay. That was a good question. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I kind of like those library-esque questions. What was the one game? It's like Booty Treasure or something. It was like I don't know. Age of Booty. That's
Age of
it was
Booty.
in, Capcom games or something. That one stood out.
Didn't
Anyways,
Ratchet and Clank have a weird spin-off that had booty in the title?
Quest for Booty.
Quest for Booty?
Yeah.
And they were like pirates or something?
Yeah. No, well, there were pirates.
Oh. Okay.
Space pirates, you know.
Is Ridley there? Because if not, I'm not interested.
All right. Who's next? What we got next?
last but not least, VG Mashup.
VG
homie.
Mashup. Wait, I thought Spencer had like an actual question.
No.
Are you sure?
Yes, I could read you all the comments.
Okay, well, we're not reading all his comments. Okay, VG Mashup, what we got?
Okay. So VG Mashup asks, what big Nintendo franchise have you still not played a game for, and why?
Fire Emblem.
Yeah, Fire Emblem also.
Shoot, man, I think I played them all. I don't know. The big franchises?
Yeah, big franchises. That's a lot of franchises. Yeah, Fire Emblem for me. Why? I don't know.
I mean, I haven't like played through an Animal Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I picked up the original GameCube one, and then all the accessories at like a used game store because all the accessories were like dirt cheap. And I was like, hey, I'm just gonna fuck around with this and put in a bunch of inputs and see what happens. And I think I spent like a few hours, just messing around. So I guess I cannot say that I've definitively understood the appeal and played an Animal Crossing game.
Okay. Splatoon.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's
mine.
I played the first one a lot. I haven't touched the second one. But when the first one came out, and I was a thirsty Wii U owner, I played the heck out of it.
I got it, like Splatoon, as soon as it came with the Wii U, but I was living in New Mexico at the time, and it was like out in the middle of nowhere. Like it was like an hour south of Albuquerque, like 30 minutes away from any other like neighboring town, so internet was just shit, and we had to have like just a hotspot to have anything, and even then it wasn't great. So again, Splatoon was free, and I was like, oh, it has a single player, right? So like I again messed around in that, but I don't think you can actually say I played Splatoon either.
Yeah, you really need the online for that one.
Yeah, exactly. So between those two and Fire Emblem, because that was my first answer, just because like I don't know, I want to be a tactics person. I'm not good at them, and then it's just like the length of all the games and like how pricey they were when we were growing up and stuff.
I've been thinking about
like
getting 3 houses.
Yeah. But if I was going to scratch that itch, because everyone kept talking about it and comparing it to Persona, so I'm like, well, I've been meaning to play Persona 3 anyway. So if I was going to like do something like that, I'd probably play Portable 3 or whatever the extra one was for the PS2.
Yeah, I'm still meaning to play through Persona 3 because I've enjoyed 4 and 5, but I don't feel so compelled to play them again.
I haven't played any of them, guys.
Did you play at least the dancing game?
No.
Did you play the fighting game?
Yes, for like
okay.
like a minute.
Alright.
So.
Did you watch the anime? Come on, man.
Did you play the PS1 original?
I've played as Joker in Smash. Does that count?
Oh, that counts.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well,
So.
then
Yeah,
basically
playing as a fighting game character compared to, like 120 hours.
I basically played Persona.
Yeah.
Up B. That's all
Up
it takes.
B.
That's all the questions for this week.
Damn. We blasted through those
Guys,
questions.
yeah. Also, I don't know, maybe we could close on this, but I wouldn't mind asking Ethan some Ethan exclusive questions.
Do you want to do it now, or do you want to close on it?
Let's close on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Ethan exclusives. Is a new segment.
Hot takes.
And if we ever have guests on, we'll post it on the Facebook page. I left a post last time just saying, we'd have him on. So please ask some questions. So in the future, drop us a question.
Prepare as well as we should have.
Sorry, Ethan.
Oh no, you're fine. If anything, if anyone, it would either be some random question because they don't know who I am, or they'd be like, "Where the fuck have you been? Like, are you alive? Is that your skeleton talking?"
Oh yeah, when was your last
like,
video?
yes.
Like 2018 something?
It was last year because I had to meet
year?
an ad fulfillment to get like I think earn money, and then once that was done, I've just been focusing on school, just finishing up. Like, I mean, I want to get back into it, but it's like every time I start, I'm like, no.
It's hard getting back in. It's especially like meeting like your expected quotas, etc. You take a long break. Just like views are suddenly, down or whatever. But I obviously can't speak from your position. I haven't surpassed 1,000. So.
Right. Well, it was like I came back from New Mexico, which is basically like we were working with at-risk kids, like not at-risk in anything in particular, just like some of it was like gang violence, some of it was simple like elopement risk, right? And so we came back, and I was like, oh shit, I want to get back into school. Like, I want to continue to work in this path while my wife, because she got into PA school, that's why we had to move away. And so, like, I was like, hey, I'll finish up school, Missy will finish up her school, meet in the middle, and then we'll, like, move around the country, right? That was the goal. And, like, I started doing videos as soon as I got back, because I was like, hey, I can probably do both these things at the same time, because, you know, there was, like, a delay from, like, applying to school and actually, like, obviously, like, getting in and starting classes. And so, yeah, I did a couple, and people were like, hey, here's some ad money. And then I got fucked by the ad, by YouTube because of sexuality and, like, Eyes Wide Shut. So then I scrambled to make, like, 2 more videos really quickly that didn't do quite as well, but then, like, over time, they met the numbers that they were asking for anyway. And so I think that experience, and then as soon as I started school and I'm, like, doing extra classes just because I want to go ahead and get done and get into grad school, just the combination of factors, I was just like, yeah, any free time I have, I'm going to just watch movies instead of, like, try to do a video on it, you know?
Yeah.
Or, like, play games or whatever. Like, so it's not like, it's not burnout, I wouldn't say, but it was like, ooh, that was a really shitty experience right while trying to get back into it, and I could put that time and effort towards, like, other things anyway. So
We could have a whole podcast just on, like, you know, discussing content creation. But
yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
Even for the big guys, like, it's rough and shitty. But is what it is. I'm glad it exists, period. Because if YouTube or, like, platforms like YouTube didn't exist, I mean, what do we got then? Then it's just, like, studio systems making big things that are marketed and whatever. Like, I like the individual aspect of it. It just sucks that it's from a platform that doesn't care about you. But even though it's called YouTube. But anyway, we can move on from that. Talk about something less depressing.
Well, it is
video games.
Yeah, it is game talk,
Yeah.
so we might want to talk about the games.
Yes.
And there's 3 of us, so there's 3 games this episode. Yippee!
We're gonna draw
Yes.
straws. You can't see on the screen, but
Oh, I was gonna let Ethan go first because he's the guest.
yeah, I was joking. We obviously don't have straws. Ethan, would you like to
Yeah.
start?
Gotta save the turtles. Yeah, sure. But yeah, going from something horribly depressing to something else horribly depressing, I played Hotline Miami collection recently.
What?
Oh no, the depression continues.
What is this
Right.
Hotline Miami?
Oh my god. So the collection is the first 2. The team, it's like just 2 guys. Donation Games, which I think is like it's like a combination of their 2 names or something. They say they're not going to make any more. They're both top-down shooters. They're like twin-stick shooters, I guess you could say. They're kind of strategic, but in the same, like, that anything that's combat is technically strategic. Their music is fucking blaring, and it's great. And its story makes me sad and really upset, especially for, like, taking them right around, like, all the impeachment stuff. So, basically, in the first game, there's, like, very little plot, like, really, there's no real story, there's just plot. There's, essentially you're a character that's unnamed, you meet a couple of characters that represent different parts of his, like, consciousness, essentially, like, his, like, one is representative of, like, kind of a nurturing, like, hey, what you're doing is okay, and, like, maybe you should, like, try to stop, and someone else is like, hey, you're a fucking dick, stop doing what you're doing, and somebody else is like, they're just abrasive to you in general, like, it's like 2 abrasive sides, one's kind of, like, coddling you a little bit, but you're just getting these phone calls that are like, hey, how about you babysit some kids on 24th and 3rd, and, just make sure you're real discreet about it. And so you go there, you kill a bunch of fucking Russians. Like, over time, you, like, learn this, of course. Like, it's not, like, immediate. You have your main character, like, one of the early scenes is he's, like, hiding a briefcase, and then a homeless man, like, confronts him. And, like, not even, like, in anything specific, it's, like, kind of innocuous. He's just like, hey, like, what are you doing? And then you kill him, and your character starts throwing up immediately. Like, the music stops every time, like, you end a scene. There's a bunch of little gut punch moments, like you meet a friend and between chapters that, like, will give you free stuff, and over time, like, he gets replaced by somebody else, and there's a bunch of, like, grotesque body horror type stuff that's just kind of like hanging out in the background. And since it's again, like I was saying earlier, top down, it's like really, you're like, what am I even looking at? Because it's like you're looking down on like a diorama, and so you're like, it looks like a dude has his guts hanging out and his leg is off and his dog is next to him and half of its head is blown off as well.
Lovely.
I don't know how. And it has these this really great structure where, like I said, it starts off with this really, like, again, kind of strange moment where you're talking essentially to your own consciousness, to your own cognition, and then it'll have like a mission play out, and then it'll have a little interlude afterward that's just like, hey, here's a little conversation with somebody, here's a little bit of context but not really, and then it'll start in your apartment, and you'll get the call, you'll do the mission, you'll have the thing at the end, and like you keep cycling through, right? And that structure, while just like good in general for like, hey, you're setting up levels, there's 15 main ones and 4 extra ones, and then 2 that were like either, I think they were downloadable content at first for the PC version, and for like the Switch version and PS4 versions and all that, it's just like there. But anyway, those 15 main missions, every single time that you go back to a place that you've kind of seen before, there's something like a little bit different. So like after I think mission 3, maybe mission 3 or 4, you help this woman that's like, hey, you just killed essentially the person that was supplying me drugs and a place to live, like, you're a fucking piece of shit, why don't you just kill me? And your character is like doesn't say anything, but he's just like, and like picks her up, takes her back to his place, right? And like each time you go back to the apartment, so for like mission 4, she's like locked in the bathroom. For mission 5, she's outside of the bathroom, but she's still like away from you. By mission like 6 or 7, like there's 2 beds in your bedroom. By like another mission, like the beds are pushed together. By like another one, like they're pushed together and have one bed sheet across them. So it's like little stories being told in the environment, which is something that I really liked. That's what I really liked about Resident Evil Remake 2 and Control. Like both of those games, all 3 of these games, are really good examples of environmental storytelling and giving you like really small indicators of like what's going on that you're just piecing together between like the gameplay of it. And yeah, Hotline Miami 1 is just like really subtle. I don't want to spoil too much, but like I said, like the setup of like these same recurrent ideas and setups keep coming back from like the mystery of what's going on and who's giving you calls and like why you were chosen essentially in the first place. And the way that that's all summed up by mission 15 is satisfying, like in it not being satisfying at all. Like they don't tell you shit. And then those extra 4 missions, you play as a separate character that you met in one of the earlier ones, and it gives you context that you were wanting, as long as you did like a few extra things like throughout like the main story or whatever. And then even that, it's like not one of those things where you're like, oh fuck, you ruined it by telling me. You're like, oh shit, no, that's a really good reason why this character is doing this. It's a really good reason why this, essentially the force that is making you do these things, why they want to do it. And it gives a really interesting place to spring off for the sequel. And even though I don't like the sequel nearly as much, like the gameplay is still excellent. If anything, it's a little bit better, and the story telling is a little bit better in the sense of like, or at least it's like more straightforward. I think it makes it a little less special. And again, you can't really talk about the story of the second one without like spoiling those secrets for the first one, so I wouldn't want to do that for anybody who hasn't played it. But it's one of those kind of stories where it's like, again, the setup I really like, where it's the aftermath of the first one. I just feel like it doesn't go in as good of places as the first one ended up going. But it's still good. And it's like actual ending, like its final 2 chapters, and the final song especially is just fucking crazy. And like the actual like thematic element to it like stays in keeping with the first one. It's just it's a little bloated and overlong, but like still super enjoyable, still super interesting to consider the first one. And it's one of the few sequels where I was like, well, the first one is kind of short anyway, and I'm going to be driving in a car for 12 hours, so I'm going to finish this real quick, and I'm going to replay the first one and then just like consider everything that's being said. And again, I don't want to spoil anything, but altogether, good shit. Highly recommend.
So it's on the Switch, right?
Yeah.
Kids game.
Yeah, of course.
Just kidding.
But yeah.
I played the first one a little bit, and I didn't get too far in, but I thought the gameplay was interesting.
Yeah, it's the change between like the weapons and like the limited ammo whenever you have guns. Because basically you can pick up like baseball bat, like a pipe. Later you'll pick up things like knives that do like instant kills if you like down an enemy. Because there's a really interesting system if you remember where it's like if you knock somebody down or like you throw an item, then you knock them down, but you still have to like. If you have no weapon, you have to come up to him and press B, or I guess it'd be like X on like the PS4. I don't know what it would be on PC, but you had a button because you still have to kill them while they're down. Otherwise, they'll like get up after a few seconds. And like the way that the visuals are set up, where it's top down, again, you're like, wait, did I kill that guy, or is he? And then he jumps up real quick, and you're like, oh fuck, and like it's like you die fast and you come back faster. Because it's so like, hey, make sure that you're doing everything perfectly, but also the levels are like super short. Yeah.
Top down with the story. Damn. Well, it's just, I don't know. It kind of like interested me that, you discussed the narrative in such deep terms because, I didn't know anything about this game when Alex told me you're playing Hotline Miami. I didn't know what it was. So I was like, oh yeah, it's probably like Midnight Club Driving Edition or something.
Oh, yeah. No, not quite.
So yeah, I just looked up a couple things about it. Do you feel it's from what I'm hearing, it sounds like it does a good job at combining gameplay and narrative, and delivering this impactful experience by the end. What was it that maybe compelled you towards the game in the first place?
Just the aesthetics of it, because it's like really gross and grimy, and we all know that Florida is just like a utopia, right?
The finest.
And so yeah, right. And so it just happened to come out for the Switch. It was on sale for like Black Friday or Cyber Monday or something, in that era for the holidays. And I was like, hey, I've always heard good things. I had accidentally heard the music. Like, there was music in my Spotify, like, saved playlist from the game, and I had no fucking clue. Because it's by, like, an artist, and they're, like, named tracks, and he, like, put them out on, like, a separate, like, some sort of different album. And I was like, oh, shit, this is what this is from. Like, no wonder. So I think it was just like hearing about it. I didn't know there was much story. I knew like people always compared it to Drive, the movie Drive, and so I was like, oh yeah, I love that movie. I like. There's a really great scene in that where the main character is being overly aggressive to like essentially save somebody's life in the most like basic terms of that, where it's like, hey, there's a guy that's mad at a criminal's wife and kind of wants to kill her, and he's like, I need to stop that. And the guy breaks into a club and has like a hammer and a nail from like the back of his car, and he like knocks this dude down, and he holds like the nail up to the guy's eye and like has the hammer back, and the whole time it's Ryan Gosling's acting that sells it really good, because he's like shaking so fucking much, like he's so hesitant in what he's doing. And that scene I feel like parallels like the main character throwing up in the alley, or like when he kills some of the other people, and like sometimes he'll automatically drop the weapon and just be like, oh fuck, like you can tell it's totally just a like, oh fuck this, like what am I doing? But then other times he seems to revel in it, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think it was just those comparisons got me into it, and I wasn't disappointed, I guess.
I have to be thankful because I know that this game inspired Travis Strikes Again. And in that game, you can actually find a Hotline Miami arcade cabinet towards the end.
Yeah, and there was like a shirt or something too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's cool. So while I haven't played all the game through and the sequel, but I could be thankful because it gave me one of my favorite games of last year.
Yeah.
So
I think the influence is still felt in a couple of other places, like some. I can think like Mother Russia Bleeds and a couple of other
that's a good
things.
game too.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, they'll kind of ape some of the like the aesthetic and stuff, which is good because again, it's like for what it's going for, I don't think there's a single like bad quality. Like it's one of those games I would call like a 10 out of 10 just because like there's not anything that I can pick out that's not good about it.
Yeah.
Or that isn't done well, or that's like flubbed or like shitty. Like everything is good.
Awesome. I would be interested in playing through it sometime.
Yeah, and it's short as hell too. Like the first one, I think I beat it in 6 hours, and the sequel was like maybe 8. So especially for like, I think it's $15 on like every storefront or something, like 15 or $20. Like, yeah, play it and feel frustrated and sad and disgusted and consider some things you might not otherwise consider, especially towards the end of the sequel and when it makes you re-examine the first one. But it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to be like, oh shit.
Well, let us know in the comments, guys, if you are interested in Hotline Miami, or if you played it, or whatever.
Yeah, definitely want to check out some of the soundtrack as well.
Yeah, definitely. Especially the ending track. I forget what it's called, but the ending track of the second one, and just even the menu theme for both of them are just like, I'll listen to it when I'm studying. You know what I mean? Like, they're just super relaxing, like low tempo. They're nice. It's good shit. All of it.
There's a hotline for everything.
Yeah.
Miami included.
Moving on, Teddy. What'd you bring to the table today? What you got?
Boy, this one just breached the limits of possibility. It's Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. And while most of the game is very not just possible but playable and enjoyable, the end boss is a fucking nightmare. And the irony is that it starts at the beginning. You could take on the end boss from the second that you start the game, and that's pretty cool. But
Calamity Ganon kind of situation.
Can you do that from Breath of the Wild? It's like the first thing is you can take on Ganon.
It's like an hour, yeah.
Yeah, you got to do the tutorial
not
first.
Not quite.
Yeah, you don't have to do any of that with
fair enough.
The Impossible Lair. But, you know, that whole process of taking it on is lengthy, and the procedure to making it a more feasible battle is to take on each of the game's 20 chapters and earn I forget what they call them, it's like a Protector B. And it's basically, it gives you an extra hit that you can take every time that you go into the Impossible Lair. But there's a catch as well. Every chapter has a different phase that you can change the chapter to. And to do so, you have to do various things in the overworld, like moving blocks or, changing, weather effects, etc. And it's really a deep experience, both overworld and the 2D levels. This game is inspired not so much by Banjo-Kazooie as the original Yooka-Laylee was, but more so by Donkey Kong Country, and they're both Rareware affiliated. So, I mean, it makes sense that, the Platonic team is comprised of, members of Rareware. And I would argue that the Impossible Lair succeeds way more at doing what it sets out to than the original Yooka-Laylee did. And in some cases, I argue that it's, not just deeper, but more enjoyable even than, God forbid I say this, but Donkey Kong Country. The soundtrack,
it's great.
Hands down, it's amazing. Grant Kirkhope out Kirkhope himself. So if that makes any sense. Yeah. But I love it. I listen to it in the car. I'll listen to it at work if I'm like, just trying to get motivated to do something, And
don't forget, are you lumping in the Returns games in with that too?
No, just the Super Nintendo versions.
Okay, I got you.
And I guess what I really like is just that the game keeps things on its toes. You can also, it's almost infinitely playable because there's 62 tonics that you can unlock and purchase with quills that you get from each of the levels. And they really increase the variety as far as the way that you experience the levels. It could be something like a visual effect, like changing it to like Game Boy resolution or like 4:3 or grayscale. You can like make the screen go upside down. You can make it go backwards. You can break your controller, not literally, but you can make it a broken controller tonic so that X plays as circle and left is right. And each of these change the number of quills that you get out of each level. If it's a more challenging tonic, then it gives you more quills. If you do something like the roll faster or like the extra twirl when you're in the air and you want like a little more hover, that takes down the quills. So it's really interesting to see the tonics that you equip and really just experience the game. I just want to keep playing. Like I don't even want to take on the end boss right now. I just want to keep playing the levels over and just enjoy them because the whole experience is just pleasant.
No, I've played about half of this game because I mean, obviously, I'm going to. But the thing that really like stood out to me was like you said, each chapter has like essentially 2 levels in one, and I thought that was really unique because like. Was it like the first chapter you play through it once, it's a standard level, and then you go in the overworld, which the overworld itself is like almost like its own game, you know. And then you flip the switch to have the water run over the book, and it like creates a water level like out of the exact same level, and it's like it's crazy. I was like, oh my god! I was like, they've essentially made a level that can play as 2 separate levels, and it doesn't feel like I'm like retreading the same ground.
They're doing what the original ukulele did, where you could like increase the book size or whatever, but in just a more engaging way.
Yeah. See, as we said in the ukulele map out, like that whole like expanding the world of the first ukulele just didn't work. It was dumb. It just kind of blocked off certain elements.
The game is a super nostalgia trip as well. You know, like at the second level is called Factory Fright. You know, and that's like the factory stages in Country, and there's just a whole bunch of really cool segments. They play with things like enemy movements. Like there's clone enemies that will imitate your jumps. So every time you press jump, they'll jump as well. There's other ones that have like jaws, so you can't just roll through them. You have to jump on top of them. And it plays with it in really cool ways. Every level houses 5 twit coins that you give to Trouser, the dick snake. That's Alex's words. Yeah. But it's cool because like Country, you know, you get the KONG letters. So it gives you something to look forward to every time you go back to a level. You really want to unlock all of them. You get, bonuses every time you get a certain number of coins. And the game's really liberal if you're playing it on like the PS4 with achievements or trophies rather. Every 2 Bs you get a trophy. So you kind of have this incentive to keep going and try and collect everything, whether it's tonics, twit coins, or Bs.
I'd be interested to see the percentages then, because that always like, sometimes it's like sad to see it. Sometimes it's good, like Resident Evil 2 remakes. Just to bring that up again, I remember their achievement percentage was like really high, and I was like, oh great, that means people are like actually beating the game. So I'd like
6.7 for a platinum.
Okay.
So well, it's actually pretty decent.
I'd like to see like a graph of like of each one. You know what I mean? Just like just anything that's like chapter based. If they give you one per chapter, it's always nice to see. But that seems like it's even more like broken down. So be like, oh, I wonder how many people stopped when they hit like a really hard level or something. It'd just be nice to see. I'm not gonna do it, but it'd be nice to see someone like a Game Maker's Toolkit like break that down. But,
interesting.
Yeah.
Would you say you're compelled to play it?
Yeah,
I don't know if you have.
It sounds fun. I played Tropical Freeze very recently, so I think like I'd probably like wait a minute.
Yeah, it's similar, I'd say.
Yeah. So I feel like it's one of those. It's like I'll keep in mind, like in the back of my head, or like put it in my like I just keep everything that I play and watch in my like IMDb, because it's just easy to be like, oh shit, yeah, what did I play? Oh yeah, I totally watched this thing that I forgot about. But I also have like a list that's just like eventually, that every once in a while I'll go through and be like, oh yeah, here's this like really cool shit that I heard about that I was like looking forward to. So I think it's already in there, and if it's not, like I probably will add it, because it seems interesting. It has like you said kind of like a novelty, a level kind of setup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so even with like the phase changes, like say you had a water level, maybe it freezes over, or maybe you had a windmill level, maybe there's wind blowing and then maybe there's not in the next one.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I didn't understand when you were saying that at first, but yeah, that's kind of like that level in Banjo-Kazooie 1. Whichever, like with a big tree.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Well, yeah, so like each chapter is basically 2 levels. The first one's like the standard level, and then the second one, they'll add like a different effect to the level. So it'll freeze over, it'll flood, like saws will be coming through something, and it'll essentially make it like a brand new level, even though they're reusing the same art assets.
The Click-Clack Woods.
Yeah.
They probably were thinking to themselves when they made that in Banjo-Kazooie, like, oh, how can we bring that back? Like, they did it in Tooie as well with the Freeze Easy. Is that what it's? Not Freeze Easy.
That's first
it's
one.
The Twin Fire. I don't know.
The Fire Ice place.
Right.
I need to finish Tooie.
Oh, I love Tooie. That's one of my favorites.
It's sitting right on the other side of that wall right there. It's just sitting, burning a hole. I just have to get the motivation to get my CRT back out.
Oh man, I could talk about Tooie, but I don't want to go on. So. But the Impossible Lair, man, Yeah. If you're like a super platformer, fan, I would say, check it out. It's worth playing.
Yeah, I can beat them. Well, I guess there's a few that I can think of where I'm like, I'll get everything in the game, but like for the most part, like I normally like go through a few levels, replay a little bit. You know what? I'll go through once, like just paying attention to the game, and then replay some levels and try to get some of that extra stuff while like listening to a podcast or something. So and it seems like that's what you're saying. It's kind of like, yeah, like that's totally possible with that. Where it's just like, oh yeah, played through, and then when you want to redo it, some of the stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, while it is, I don't think it's worth separating yourself from the experience, by putting on the podcast. There are games that I would, put something on in the background while I'm playing, but it wouldn't be for that one. You could do that technically. Okay. I mean, I've done something like I'm looking for all the tonics. So like I have my phone up here and I'm watching the video and
fair enough.
Looking for tonics on the overworld.
Okay.
But
I mean, that's
other than that,
oh yeah, I mean, I'd totally rather something be engaging enough to where I'm like paying attention the whole time. Don't get me wrong. So if you're saying it's that, yeah, good shit. How long is it?
I put in 17 hours. I've got all 48 Bs, and I've taken on the impossible layer approximately 6 times, and I've only gotten halfway through the thing. It says 54%. So the thing is, that final boss is not a joke. It's like a very long procedure.
Ooh, that's why I never beat Hollow Knight, or like 100%, is because Hollow Knight had the, what is it called? Like where you kind of essentially go to like this big glowing white palace or whatever. Or sorry, have either of you
No,
played
I haven't
Hollow
played
Knight?
it yet. I want to.
You keep describing it though. Sounds good.
Keep me on.
Oh yeah. So anyway, for Hollow Knight, there's like this one. It's called like it's like a challenge of pain. It's something pain, and it's an apt title because it's like it almost feels like you're playing like a really zoomed in Super Meat Boy for parts of it because it's just like so many fucking gears and you have to like precision fucking jumps back and forth, and anytime that you get hit, like you get sent back. So I never finished that or like the boss fight like associated with it because like I can't get through that. So it sounds like that kind of situation where like the vast majority of Hollow Knight, like thoroughly enjoyable, thoroughly doable. Even if like you hit a wall, it's like you can go run off and do something else, and it's like a game that's truly open. Like there's several parts in that game where it's like you can go through like 6 different sections if you have the wherewithal or if you found like a certain item or an ability, right? But yeah, that's like essentially the final thing that you can do from most standpoints. Like you can do it kind of early on, but like it's definitely like the hardest challenge. And yeah, no, I never beat that because fuck.
Yeah, that's where my head's at. I mean, if I don't beat it, I'll be happy to tell the tale about how I did everything else.
Yeah, watch a YouTube video and be like, oh,
yeah,
they did it.
Now, if they wanted to make that layer truly impossible, the final level would just be Clue Land.
Oh.
Do you know what Clue Land is, Ethan?
Let me do a quick.
You might get the button mappers popping up.
He's not pre-exposed to our ongoing jokes.
Oh yeah, Clue Land, the 1987 classic that was in arcades and for the NES.
Yeah, it was a launch title.
I love that one. That's my favorite one.
Duck Hunt? Who wants to
actually, you know what? Because this is in jest. Obviously, I just pulled up a whatever. This guy looks familiar though. The box art looks familiar.
We don't like Clue Land.
Oh, is it shit?
Fuck Clue Land.
This says Google users 90% like this video game, so it looks like you guys are in the minority.
Wow.
I use Yahoo.
Oh, yeah, let's see.
Bing.
Yahoo says...
God damn it.
99%... No, I'm just kidding.
Well...
Yeah. I don't think I had any other questions about it.
Okay.
It sounds good. I feel like I'll... Like, it feels like one of those things that will totally... Because it came out, like, a few months ago.
Came out in
right?
October.
Yeah. So I feel like it'll totally be, like, a Black Friday, like, $10 kind of thing. Anymore, that's, like, Black Fridays, like, where I buy a bunch of games cheap on digital and a few, like, physically. And just, like, sit them in a corner or, like, keep them in the back of my mind for January and February. Because there's always, like, nothing.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you want to spend for it, I think it's worth it. Is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it. But I paid the $40 for retail. I'm glad it's not a $60 game. That might have been pushing it, but I've gotten my enjoyment out of it. To put 20 hours into a platformer, that's almost insane to me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, usually it's like 5. Super Metroid. I guess you play the game over and over again, but like it's like 5-6 hour game.
Yeah. I don't know. I find myself playing games like over again a lot less recently. I mean, that's probably like the finishing up a degree, working full time, all that shit. But still,
there's got to be at least one though. That's like your go-to.
Nah, I mean like even like something like Death Stranding, right? Like I've been playing that off and on. If I just have an hour or something, right? Like not enough time to watch a movie, not enough to like invest a little bit into like a show or something. I'm like, okay, I'll just like fuck around in Death Stranding. But even that's because there's like ample side content. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's more like I'm just finishing up, rounding off Death Stranding. And I feel like once I finish that, it'll be like, maybe I'll pick up, The Witcher 3 finally or something. And then that'll be like that thing that I play every once in a while for like 2 years or something. So, I don't know. But yeah. I don't know. My media consumption is like, I don't know, because I have to like schedule it out so consistently with all this other shit. It almost like becomes rigid, but it's still flexible. Obviously, I'm trying to enjoy myself. I'm not trying to like meet a deadline of like, I have to play 5 games within a month and 200. Like, no.
Yeah, it could be a little overwhelming sometimes, especially with like the content creation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and then like, I mean, shit. Like 2020 is, like Final Fantasy VII remake has come around the corner, and RE3 remake, and
that's
Cyberpunk
the thing
later
too.
in
It's
the
just
year.
is physical media or just digital media overload. It's a lot of good games, and I feel that way about like, indies, even platformers in general. A lot of platformers.
Yeah.
Like, do I have to play this many? I don't know.
Right.
And then RPGs. Do I have the time? Am I gonna play all of them? No, but I'll probably play Persona 5. I'll play, Dragon Quest 11. But
Yeah. Thank God when you're like, every once in a while I just get fatigued from it. I'm like, oh, fuck this. And then someone would be like, hey, this thing called Baba Is You exists. And I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah, I'll play that. It's like, 6 hours. Cool. But it's whatever. Alex.
Yeah. Well.
What did you play? I know you have to, like, go relatively soon.
Oh well. I still got about an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. So
We'll
I'm
start
good.
in one end.
Okay.
Just want to make sure.
Teddy, you good? You wrapped up your? You have anything else to say about the Possible Lair?
buy it, play it, support it. I love it.
Okay.
Alex, you're up.
Well, I recently obtained a PlayStation VR. That's another video for another day. And I've been like buying everything my little grubby hands get my hands on for the VR. From like fucking Skyrim to like cute little games and stuff. So
For real, that picture you sent me, I was like, didn't you just buy this? What the fuck?
Yeah, no, I just got to. I've been like, well, because like VR games, I don't know, it's weird because like they said they sold like millions of the units. Like apparently it was like a hot ticket item last Christmas, but like the games drop in price really fast. So like, you can find VR games for like under $20 really easily. So I've been like scooping up everything. So one of the games I bought looked really interesting. It was called Ghost Giant. And I wish I remember who made it. I know, no, Zoink Games. I know one of them worked on Fee or Faye or whatever the fuck you want to call it. That little indie game that EA published.
Green?
No, it's Fee. It's like F-E. Fee.
Fez?
Oh.
No, not Fez. Phil Fish is not allowed here.
Wait, what'd you say the name was? Ghost
Ghost Giant.
Giant.
And so whenever you think of a VR game, I don't know how much you guys really experienced VR, but when you think of like a VR game, what do you usually think of? Like first person?
Virtua Racing.
Okay, well.
I think of weird disembodied hands.
Yeah, like
and
like
shitty like lag between like something moving because people are always flailing their arms around.
so like first person interaction, like you are in the story, right? Ghost Giant takes a different approach that I really enjoyed. You aren't the primary focus of the game. You play as a ghost giant who's just this giant ghost. And the story is all about this little cat named Louie. He's just a little kid living in this like little town. And one day you like appear to him and he's like, "What the fuck are you?" And you go out this like so you go out like the story with the little cat, and each chapter is like its own little puzzle. So like he'll get to like town and he'll be like, I have to be able to get these sunflower seeds, and the guy's like, I can't sell you any sunflower seeds today because I have to go down to the docks and get them. So you're like, okay, I'll go to the docks. So he wants to cross this bridge, and these cats are like, we're doing an art thing on the bridge and you can't pass today. So like you have to like use your surroundings to help Louis with the situation. So like for the art one, for example, you have to like be creative, and you like take a mop as a paintbrush, and you like make paints out of like other things. Like you squash some watermelons to make some like red paint, and then you like use some other things, and you paint like a picture to like get the cats off the bridge so that Louis can cross. And there's a few other things like that where you just gotta help him like figure out situations, which is really cool. But what really sold me on the game was the narrative, because at first it just seems like this happy game, like looks kind of like Animal Crossing almost, which is like this happy game, animal characters and stuff. But spoiler alert, anybody that's like listening, you find out that Louis' mom suffers from serious depression, and she just locks herself in her house all day, and the whole game is about Louis trying to like help his mom in some way. And it really touches home with like some themes of depression and anxiety, and it's commonly thought that like you as the ghost giant, you are acting like you are like the manifestation of like Louis' anxieties and stuff. And it was deeper than I thought it was going to be, because like when I bought it, it just looked like some cute little puzzle game.
Very quick question, did you play Night in the Woods?
No, but I've wanted to. I know it's very similar with its themes.
Yeah, on like a very like base level. Like if you went into any detail at all, obviously they're not that similar.
Yeah.
But just like cute cat character, but like secretly it's about like depression and anxiety and like undiagnosed disorders. And yeah, it looks cool. I just looked up images of it. I feel like I'd heard something about it before, because it was like you said, it's like you're not the main character. Like, yes, you're affecting the environment. You're playing as like the character that is from your perspective, but like it's really like you're looking down at like a diorama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, it even interested me because I've played other games, like I have Moss and Astrobot, and those are platformers where you aren't the main character, but you're controlling the main character. But in this game, you don't even do that. You don't even control Louis. You just kind of like help him.
Just controlling around.
Yeah. You know, so he'll be like, "What am I gonna do?" You know, and you kind of like have to listen to like the dialogue of the characters in the towns and stuff to kind of like pick up on the clues on like what I need to do.
Yeah.
You know, like what the puzzles are.
Makes me think of Pikmin a little bit too, just in the sense, I mean, obviously you're not like controlling him directly, but it'd be like weird to say like, oh yeah, in Pikmin you're Captain Olimar. Like, yes, technically you're Olimar, but like you're controlling the Pikmin, you're moving them around, you're like affecting the environment and kind of like watching your shit play out. Like you're not like, oh, I'm Olimar, the fucking hero of the story. You're not Link. Like you're the force in the environment.
I mean, Olimar is kind of a hero. Just saying. He's an OG in the game, you know?
I don't know. He also gets fucking captured every other game, too. So.
That's true. But I don't know. I just think this type of game is more impactful with VR, because I've played a ton of other games. Like lately, I've been playing Doom VFR with the fucking aim gun controller. It's fun, yeah. But I can play Doom like a multitude of other ways. I feel like this game really like takes advantage of VR, because you're like you're immersed in the world. You can watch the characters. You really have to like be able to like look around the houses, see if there's anything like anything you can use or interact with. It really takes advantage of like needing VR, you know. And
right.
It's a pretty short game. It's like 13 levels long. Each level should take you around 30 minutes or so to complete. Pretty short experience, but it's one that really like stuck with me after I finished it. And part of the reason is because like at the end of the game, Louis is like his final like one of his final chapters. He's like, I'm gonna throw a party for my mom, and it's gonna cheer her up, and it doesn't. That's like one of the most heartbreaking things, is that like he goes through all this work and stuff, and his mom like comes out and she's just like, not today, not today, Louis. I don't, and she's, whatever. She goes back inside, and then the ghost giant like goes from being really big, like shrinks to being really small. Like you're almost like in like blades of grass, and you look up and you see like one of the other characters is like, we have to like take your mom away. We're sorry. Louis is like crying. He's like, no, I can help her. I can fix her. I can take care of her. And they're like, you can't. This is not something you can really control. And it's just like the fact that you became smaller at that point is like, it's really impactful, because like you went from being like this big hulking thing, like looking over everything, like, oh, you're in control, to being like tiny and like nothing's in your control.
Yeah.
And
that's good too. That's a perfect metaphor for major depressive disorder. Like, it doesn't just go away.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of theory about it, because like, how does someone acquire it if it's not chemically based? Because it's always hard to judge those things, or it's really expensive to get consistent blood tests and stuff. But anyway, regardless of that, you just don't pull someone out of it, because it's normally, even if it was chemically based, even if it's 100% biological in its infancy, like when it starts, it's like the habits that you start forming, the behaviors you start getting into, the cognition you start to have continuously like keeps pulling you down further and further. And even like the drugs that we have, sorry, I'm like literally just learning about this stuff, but even like the drugs that we have often are not like actually tested consistently. We just know that we're like, hey, they work, so let's keep using them, and it doesn't seem to be like side effects that are like can cause death necessarily. Of course, if they don't work for somebody and they slide worse, like someone could kill themselves, but it's not directly effective. Like, that's correlation, not causation. And so, yeah, that's really interesting that it's like, yeah, no. Like, you thought this big thing and this like big moment might like bring it out. Like, that's totally like a movie or game or like narrative thing in general to do, but to be like, yeah, no, we're gonna take her away and assumably give her help in a different sort of way, or at least like hopefully not like in that world it's not just like a shitty turn of the century asylum where they just throw her into a box.
No, it does cut back to like months later, and she has returned and stuff. She's doing better, and things are like, it doesn't want to end like a happy note. But just that one moment was it's like so impactful, because I'm so used to seeing like movies or games or whatever. It's just like, we solved the problem. Yeah.
I'm not sad anymore.
Yeah, it's just like, no, this wasn't it, and that's why it really stuck with me, because it just felt really.
All I needed was a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a cake.
Yeah, it's just
like, no.
It's just that's not. It was a really real game, and which once again I didn't expect from this game with like little like cute little animals.
Yeah. Not to get overly spoiler for Night in the Woods either, but it has like a really similar moment where a character is basically like, she's talking about this like incident that the whole game was like building up, like of why she like left college and like why she came back home and all this stuff. And when she's finally talking about it candidly, it's kind of like, I know you like, I don't know about you, Teddy, I don't know if you watch Breaking Bad, but Alex, you'll have reference for what I'm talking about. That moment at the end of Breaking Bad when he's talking to Skyler and he's just like, he finally says why he was doing everything, and you're like, oh fuck, like it, because it comes rushing back like entire plot points from the previous seasons, right? Night in the Woods has a really similar moment to that, but with the thematic quality of Ghost Giant, where it's like, this character is finally like just candid and is like, this is what was happening. My anxiety was just so fucking high that like I didn't even know where I was. I couldn't see. Like, I had no context for what was happening, and like I just was basically flailing. So yes, like there's an incident that happens where she essentially like attacks somebody, but it was like not by choice. Like, she didn't know what the fuck was happening. And yeah, that's a good moment. I feel like those are two, like, just from the way that you're talking about it, I'm like, oh, cool. Like, they have similar ideas and concepts, and they're even kind of like for a similar audience.
Yeah, well,
almost.
This game really,
at least aesthetically,
this game really impacted me, because Louis, like, he's like, they don't say his age, but if I had to guess, he had to be around like 10 or 11. And so he's still fairly young, doesn't understand a lot of the thing, like the world. And right. I mean, I don't want to get too personal, because I love my mom. Whenever I was younger, my mom suffered from like serious depression. She still does, but it's not like, not to the level that it was. at that time, and I was really like 7 or 8, and I remember I just didn't understand like why she would do some of the things she did, why she was acting some things some days, she did want to do anything. She just she was like there for a while. She was just on like her computer and stuff, and I love my mom, but it was just one of those things that like it was really impactful for me to play this game, and also for her to play this game, being the parent in a situation at one point in her life. Just being,
Right.
kind of like seeing it through like a kid's perspective, like not understanding anything about it.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't even like that.
Like how to,
Contextualize it a little
yeah,
bit too, because I'm like, well, yeah, you would think that just like, well, I feel good when I have a party.
yeah, like
that's
how do
not
I
for
help
me,
it?
so
Like
if I
how can
throw
I,
a party, then I will
yeah,
help.
yeah. See
you.
how can I fix it? It's when it's not that easy.
Yeah, having no context for like how deep those problems are and how like adults tend to. Not even necessarily adults, but even into adolescence, people start to like wave off again their habits or behavior that they don't think about anymore. Like they're just things that you're just like, oh, this is just me, this is my personality. And it's like, no, those are things that are actually leading to negative consequences. They're not negative enough to make you want to change.
Do you have any questions, Daddy?
Yeah, I didn't do what I did with Hotline Miami when Ethan was describing it and look it up and try and get information. I kind of just listened to your descriptions. And it's not, I just looked it up. It's not what I expected it to
Exactly,
look like. I actually
yeah.
really like the animation style. I was wondering,
really cute.
because, it is a PSVR, is it exclusive?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, because I was wondering if it is. Like, do you feel like maybe it's excluding a potential fan base there and like that it should be more open?
I
Or
feel
should
like
it be
it's a
relegated
game
only
that
to
like
VR?
it's a game that's made for VR though. You really need to be playing VR to experience the game. There's not really like I can't think of like a way to really play it on like a screen to really like get a feel for it. Like it's really like you need to be like immersed in the world in order to play. And that's something that I can't say for other VR games. Like I have a bunch of other VR games that are like it's just a shooter in VR, or it's just a golf game in VR, or it's just a this in VR. Like this really feels like you need to be in the world in order to play it.
Okay.
It's looking like it came out for PSVR, obviously. Well, this is saying December 2019 for Oculus Quest. And I'm not going to lie, I've not kept up with that, so I don't remember if Oculus Quest, if that's the one that's like a self-contained unit, or... Yeah, I don't know. So either way, like even that, like just between those two SKUs, like yeah, like you said, it still might be limiting an audience. But
It's a shame because it looks fun. I don't know that I would want to. I don't know like if VR is for me, and I think I've wrestled with that question for a long time. I've never been like so sold to it. I think if there were more games like this, I might be more interested. As a VR owner, Alex, do you feel like the purchase is justified
For this game alone, no. But I mean, I could probably make a list of games at some point that would probably make it worth buying. I wasn't sold on VR either until like I really wish they had like a better way to like have people experience it. Like they need kiosks or something, because like I didn't really know if VR was for me either. And then I was at this arcade in Tennessee, and they had VR there to try out. So I like tried out the PSVR with a few games, and after like walking away from it, I was like, wow, that was like a lot better than I expected to be. And then so I feel like if maybe like they offered that experience to people, like here, try this kiosk with VR, or try that like a few titles out and stuff, people would give it more of a chance. But in terms of like just this game selling the VR, no.
yeah, because right now, like I just pulled up shopping real quick because I was like, oh, I thought it went down in price, but I guess not.
No,
It seems like one set
it's
here. Yeah, it's like 300.
yeah.
300.
Well,
games.
if you want
And then
all the controllers and stuff, it's like 400.
Yeah, exactly. And then like right below that is like the PS4 1 TB hard drive, which is still pretty sizable for the PS4, and has like The Last of Us, Horizon Zero Dawn, and God of War all together. And then this is look like it's like a Best Buy deal where you get like another game for free or something, and that's only $250. So like the console itself with a bunch of games that people have definitely heard of, that aren't only like a few hours long, is actually less money than the set
Yeah.
itself.
And that's probably just where it is. It is a newer technology and stuff.
Yeah, I could totally see like a PS5 VR set being probably better integrated and.
Well, what's cool
cheaper,
and what made me
relatively.
interested is they've announced that the one you buy for the PS4 is going to be compatible with PS5. So.
Oh well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll probably just like keep pushing it.
Yeah.
Forward.
So
But then it's like
they'll do like
well, then
revisions probably, but
right.
it's just,
But then you get the problem of like, well, if Resident Evil 7 played relatively fine on PSVR because it's somewhat slower, like it's not super action-y, but they had to like do a new version of Doom for it, right? Like it's not just Doom base game or whatever.
yeah, it's a different game.
Yeah, I could see because like the new consoles are gonna have like shit like the ray tracing and like I don't know, they're just gonna be such a different machine. I'm like, well, would the visuals of those games even play off of a current PSVR, or like can they like offload the any processing onto the system itself? So then it's like just visuals essentially streaming to it, and then it's like can be
I have no
relatively
clue.
clear.
I know that the PSVR.
Yeah, that's why I'm just
the PSVR comes with
just
its
thinking.
own like processor box that you hook up to the PS4.
Yeah, so
is
maybe like the
interesting.
PS5 will like boost it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess we'll see in 8 months or whatever.
Teddy, would you get a Virtual Boy?
Don't try and trick me now. Get a Game Boy camera.
I really do. I want to play Jack Brothers. I want to play that fucking robot boxing game. Ooh, I really want to play that Innsmouth, like Shadow over Innsmouth game. The horror thing.
Yeah.
Are you familiar?
No.
It's I think Stop Skeletons from Fighting talked about it once, and it's like a dungeon crawler horror game. Obviously, black and red
For the Virtual
suits
Boy?
it well, yeah,
Wow, I didn't know that.
It's Japanese only.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean
my
you can
favorite
obviously,
colors.
yeah, you can emulate it now. Like there's like English translation and all that stuff. But yeah, it's one of those where it's like you walk around, obviously like on a grid. You'll encounter monsters every once in a while. You have limited ammunition. You're like looking for keys to then like leave. Again, it's like inspired by a TV special or something that's also inspired by Lovecraft. So it's like 2 degrees removed, but still like inspired by. I mean, Innsmouth is in the fucking title. Yeah. I'd
Given
play
the
that.
choice, though, I would pick a cabinet over a Virtual Boy. And even if I'm going into like that, that 2-color scheme of Vectrex over the Virtual Boy.
Oh yeah.
I think there's more of a homebrew
Vectrex
scene.
aren't that much either.
Yeah.
I think I saw one for like $100, like a refurbished, somewhere here in Lexington.
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe Alex, did you see it?
No, I haven't seen
I know
it.
you hit the game stores up here every once in a while.
No, I haven't seen Vectrex. Or else I would have bought it.
Either way, I could buy a Virtual Boy and a Vectrex, and it would
Now,
still be
can we
cheaper than PSP.
can we combine the two? That's the question.
Yeah, you could strap the Vectrex to your head. I'll grab a seat collar from the emergency room the next time I'm there. You can strap that on. It'll keep your neck still. I mean, you might fall forward, but it'll still. Yeah.
You could
that'll
probably
work.
play the Vectrex with the PSVR headset on. Do you have it handy?
What, the PSVR? No, it's in my
Yeah.
living room.
What if we did Google Hangouts with PSVR headsets attached? Would it be like we're actually having
we're
a real
actually
conversation?
I don't.
Wow, like we're
I don't even
actually
know how
hanging
it
out. Dang.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got on Ghost Giant, guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I asked all the questions that I had to ask or wanted to ask. I'm interested. I'll probably watch a video of it now. Because I already knew, like Ukulele,
Watch
I'd
the-
seen, or the Impossible
watch
Lair, I'd
the,
seen some stuff for it.
The Nitro Rad video. He did a good video on it. So.
So I don't forget.
VR Troopers.
VR Troopers. All right. So that was Game Talk. Teddy, you had some questions you wanted to ask Ethan before you logged. I know we're going a little long with this one,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's fine.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just thought it'd be
Okay.
cool.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ask.
We have
Yeah.
a guest, so I asked Spencer last time a couple of things.
Sure.
First, how was your experience on the button mappers? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I always like talking about video games. Really, any context. It's easy to like go to work and stuff, especially if you weren't aware. I work in an ER, so I'm like consistently hanging out with people, like talking in their rooms, just shooting the shit about little things. It's always easy to like talk about movies and stuff because everyone's seen Avengers Endgame or whatever. Or every once in a while, I get to talk about something interesting like The Lighthouse because we'll just get like a fucking other 20-year-old hipster and we get to have a little conversation. But like games don't come up as often, so it's always nice.
Which
button map is your favorite?
Either
pick one of us. I'm just kidding.
you don't. Yeah. Why is it Spencer? No. Which movie tie-in game do you like the most, or vice versa? Which movie based on a game do you like the most?
Fuck, there was something just the other day that I played.
And don't feel like it has to be a movie either. It could be like a TV show or anime. Like I like The Witcher lately.
You know, I just wanted to point out. I know it's not my question, but I played The Hunt for Red October on Game Boy last night.
That's such a weird thing that you just said.
I have that.
I don't even know.
It's a submarine.
how to
It's a
process
submarine
that.
shooter game for the Game Boy.
God, I can't even think about what it was. I don't know. For some reason, I played that SpongeBob movie game like 2 years ago. I don't know why that's the one that sprung to my mind. But I was like, hey, this is just like a kind of not as good version of Crash. And I was like, I can always go for Crash Bandicoot. So that is definitely not my favorite. Don't quote me on that. But that's the first thing that came to mind. I was like, oh yeah, I played that weirdly. Because I think I found it in like a corner somewhere. I was like, how the fuck? Why didn't I sell this like years and years ago? Because I sold like a bunch of old shit from like childhood that I knew I was never going to touch again. Which I guess I was wrong because I was going to sell that. And then when I found it, I was like, oh fuck. So I popped it back in and played like half of it. And I was just like, oh yeah. It like had the same little spinning move. It had like some of like those linear like kind of corridor levels. But then some of them opened up. I was like, oh, this for like a... like they probably made it in 6 months kind of game. I was like, this is surprisingly polished. And the video compression for like the movie bits was just like fucking awful. So I just got a good laugh of like, oh, I remember that, but in much, much better quality. So not my favorite, but that's what came to mind.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know if I'll play it, but...
No, you shouldn't. Ooh, and actually I have a better answer for you because I talked about it earlier. Alien Isolation is a really good fucking horror game.
Right, yeah.
I almost like it more than Alien as a film, and I love Alien. It's like one of my favorites. Like it's one of those where I'm just like, again, 10 out of 10. Every single part of that, everything it's trying to do and its setup, everything is great. Atmosphere, tone, writing, music, everything is excellent. Alien Isolation is just that, but does its own interesting things with a lot of different concepts. Like they're androids, like being cheap, shitty, like reproduction models that are creepy as fuck. Like it's just really good ideas based off of that like world and like integrating some of the again, some of the atmosphere, some of the music, but doing their own things, like keeping the technology like looking like it's supposed to be the future of 1970. Like 200 years from 1970, like that kind of aesthetic. Like I don't know, it was just one of those like everything was really good. So not directly based off of but obviously, same license, really good team. Those are the first two things that come to mind. There's a power gap in quality there, and neither one are probably even my answer, but yeah.
No, they're good answers though.
Sure.
And I don't know, it got me thinking like, I mean, as someone who's versed in movies and games, and even with your work experience and just like the conversations that you have, do you ever notice like people have a different attitude towards movies versus games and like the types of experiences they can deliver? Like, because I find with me that, when I talk about gaming, people don't understand that there can be a deeper experience beneath just playing a video game.
Yeah. Well, I'll answer that question in the way that I talk about games with people who don't play games. Because, like, yeah, there is, like, a gap of, like, I feel like I'm pretty confident when I'm, like, if I'm going to talk about media with somebody, it's because, like, we have a moment to talk about it. Like, I wouldn't just be like, here's my fucking dissertation on the meaning of Nier Automata. You know what I mean? And, like, all of its influence and all this. I can't do that. But when I sit down and talk about something with somebody, because I know they like horror, right? I've talked about Resident Evil Remake a couple of times this episode, so I'll just bring that up again. I was explaining to this guy in his late 40s who loves horror movies. Like, he can talk endlessly about all this shit. We were talking about Doctor Sleep and The Shining, like back when like that came out and like all that shit, and like we went into some things, and I was talking about how like I didn't feel like the threat was very like there just wasn't really a threat in that movie. That's a whole different conversation. But I was like, hey, there's a game that I played, Resident Evil 2 Remake, where every single enemy felt like a giant fucking threat. And the way that I talked about it with him is I talked about the experience of actually being the person in that situation. So I'm like, the main difference between watching something like, you know, The Walking Dead or something, because that's a zombie thing, right? And having like a scene be tense because like your character that you kind of associate with and you like or whatever might like die, is you being that character that is about to die. And when they still have a character, like Leon is a character, like he has motivation and ambition, he has a personality. It's like you not only like him as a person, but obviously you don't want him to be hurt, and you have direct control of that. So I was like, hey, the threat sucks. You don't want him to be hurt. Every single time that you shoot this thing and like all it does is its arm slinks off, but it's still walking towards you, like the fear of losing the game, the fear of him getting attacked, the fear of you getting attacked, like all those things meld into like one big emotion instead of like, you know. So if anything, like I kind of focus on the fact that you were controlling, I guess. Like it's just another aspect to it. And that normally gets people to at least be like, oh yeah, that sounds really cool. Or they'll ask more questions about it. And that's how you know anybody is interested in anything. If someone is asking questions and wants to know more about something or wants your opinion about it, they give a shit about what you're saying, at least like either because you're the one that's saying it or because of the thing that you're talking about. And so, yeah, with games I tend to do that. Because, like, yeah, there's just people that didn't grow up with them, they just don't take it as seriously. But even people that are, like, tangentially related, like my sister watched me play a bunch of games when I was younger, but she's never, like, sat down and played one herself, but she'll, like, watch playthroughs of other people's stuff. So even though it's not directly, like, I could never, like, talk her into playing something, I can talk her into watching somebody play a thing. And that's only one generation removed from her, like, buying a console for her kid whenever she has one. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, we're just in a weird stage where it's, like, not taken as seriously. Just like film wasn't taken as seriously and, you know, until about the 60s. And then we started getting, like, some of those, the review magazines that were like talking about it as high art instead of just as like a fad or like something that was kind of like cool to do on a Saturday night. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we're getting there. It's just it takes time. Spread of information.
Sure. And the video game industry is quite young.
Yeah.
So.
Again, like not even 50 years, 40 something.
Maybe like just hit. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, really long-winded answer, but
Nah.
Make
You know,
sure you
food
buy
for
your
thought.
Mountain Dew and
That's good.
Doritos, kids.
yes.
Halo 16's coming out.
Free XP weekend.
Yeah. Make sure you play your fork knives.
Yes.
Okay.
If
All
you
good
have
stuff.
to, you have to before you watch the new Star Wars movie.
Gotta.
apparently.
Oh yeah, I forgot they put bits of Star Wars
Of
lore
lore.
in fucking Fortnite. That makes me very upset.
Yeah, there's apparently, because I don't give a shit about Star Wars, but the new one has like an opening title crawl that's like, hey, Palpatine
He's
was behind
back.
it all.
Yeah,
He's back. And he,
I saw it. I saw the movie.
yeah, the transmission apparently is in Fortnite. So I'm like, okay. And shit, and Endgame was like connected to it as well, wasn't it? Wasn't Thanos
I
like
don't
a
know.
playable
I don't
character
know.
or something?
I don't play Fortnite. I don't know.
That's where the Thanos booty dances come from. I
Oh, is that a
think.
thing?
That makes
Yeah, that
sense.
shitty meme.
Oh. Well.
You have to get on your shitty memes. You have to laugh about it and then cringe at
I
it.
like
And then laugh at it
some
again.
memes, but I don't know. That one slipped by me.
I think it's because internet historian used it so much, and like there was like a few videos there in a string where it's just like, oh my god, that's so cringy, and yet like perfectly summed up what he was talking about, because obviously he's normally talking about cringy shit. I was like, yeah, perfect. Thanos twerking on camera.
Yikes. I do not want that in my search history.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
that was a fun and long episode of Game Talk. We went longer than normal today.
Sorry.
No, I'll be sorry. Yeesh.
Ethan, you want to tell people where to find you?
You can find me at 13. No, I'm just kidding. I guess what it all meant. If you want to watch old shit that I'll never watch myself, because to me it, it's been so long. Like I'm too critical of it. But if you want to watch some like film analysis, I normally just talk about thematic elements in film. Normally spoil the shit out of it. So if it's something you were wanting to watch, oops. I hope you didn't click on it. But, yeah, what it all meant. That's about it.
We do love a good discourse here.
What it all meant. Sorry, I know I always, mumble the shit out of that, too. But, yeah, and it's on YouTube. Sorry, I should say that. YouTube channel. I have other social media, but I don't get on that shit.
Yeah, we'll have a link. We'll have a link in the description of this and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're listening on something that's not YouTube, it's on YouTube.
Oh, you can just do something yourself, you lazy ass. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. It was fun. It's nice to have a guest on that's not just Spencer.
Yeah, fuck Spencer. I mean, I'm just kidding.
Ooh, you don't know the war you started in the comments.
I just
We just got button drama.
I know I just mumbled just kidding 4 times in a row, but I'm gonna say it one more time. Just kidding. I'm sure Spencer is
You'd probably agree
human
with
being.
Spencer more than me because he flames me for my Sonic fandom.
Yes.
So
Sonic
I think
was
he'll
never
appreciate
good.
your input on Sonic Boom. It's firing fodder for picking on Alex.
Oh, if you want to do anything, fuck what it all meant. Look up what is it? What happened for really any game that he covers.
Oh yeah.
But it's something the Flophouse. Yeah. He
Sorry, I was gonna say
he covered Sonic Boom.
I just watched his one on Drake and the 99 Dragons before we started.
Oh yeah. I haven't watched it yet. It's in my feed or whatever. But yeah, he always does really good breakdowns, which is surprising because their old content was just stream of conscious, the old style of Let's Plays or whatever. But yeah, all of his scripts past the first few that you can kind of tell he's getting his footing. Yeah, he does really good breakdown. Sorry, I should say what this is. What Happened is a series where this guy breaks down essentially shitty video games or games that didn't sell very well
tragedies.
Or sold really well but weren't actually very good. Yeah, tragedies, or every once in a while you get an LA noir where it's it was well reviewed and well liked, but it still had a problematic history of whatever, just through development. And yeah, his Sonic Boom video was one of those where I was oh man, I shit on that game hard.
Yeah.
And really I should have shit on Sega from a producer standpoint, because they really fucked over Big Red Button.
I can't even shit on that game because it's I didn't play it. I play everything with Sonic's name on it, and that was the one that it came out, and I was no. I'm pretty sure I went to go buy it, and I bought Lego Batman instead, or something. I was no, yeah. I'm fine.
You made the right choice. As much as I feel bad for that, the actual creatives behind it, it's not a good end product.
Yeah, I was
by any stretch.
I was it came out the same day as Lego Batman 3, and I was you know what, I'll play that.
Okay.
And then I played that.
I don't blame you.
So. All right, yeah, that was fun, guys. Thanks for being on, Ethan. Thanks for listening, everybody at home or wherever you are in the world. Thanks.
Wherever you are emotionally, just know we're there. We're with you. We care about you. We hope you're having
We're
a
your
good
ghost
time.
giant.
If you're having
protectors.
any problems, try to work it out. Hit us up. If you have any emotional problem, if you need to be diagnosed with anything, give me 3 years, 3 or 4 years. But you can hit me up in the comments below, and I'll get back to you.
In 3 years.
Kill yourself. Don't kill yourself before then.
And questions.
Oh yeah.
Oh
we
yeah.
answer
Ask
them.
questions.
Don't forget to ask us questions. Well,
I won't answer them. Well, I guess if someone asked me something directly and I was on again, I'd answer it.
okay.
We'll keep him in the Ethan pile.
Sure.
Ethan exclusive. But all right, guys.
Or I can check the comments. That's probably a better one.
There you go.
But anyway, I keep extending your trying to stop, so I'm just gonna shut up. Thanks for having me.
Also, don't forget to download Raid Shadow Legends. Fantastic RPG mobile franchise. Pay us, please. Just give us some money. Raid. We need the money. I'm trying to get the promotion, but I don't think I'm gonna do it.
I don't think so. They're spent out.
I'm just gonna start putting Raid ads in all my videos because like I'm not sponsored by them, but I feel like everybody else is, so I'm just gonna start doing that. So hopefully, like, I could just like transcend the rest of them. You know, I'm part of the group too, guys. Raid Shadow Legends. No one knows I'm not actually sponsored.
Okay, guys. Happy game talk.
Sure.
See you next time here on the Button Mappers.
Ethan, what's your
all right, and that's it.
What's your opinion on columns?
Okay, well, huh?
What's your opinion on columns?
Columns?
Yeah.
Fuck columns. You know that.
If you had to pick between columns and Clue Clue Land, what would you pick and why?
Neither. Period. Because that's never going to be a problem for me. I can't even, hold up. Is Columns that shitty Genesis game that you like, kept puzzle trying to push back in the day?
It's that like it's the jewel dropping game.
I should probably put something that's not just columns, because then I got like Greek architecture pop up and like the definition of what a column is.
He was trying to trick you in the question, like, what are your opinion on the Greek
they're great.
architecture?
They're an absolute essential support system for
it's great aesthetic.
Yeah. I love them. Yeah,
you heard it here first. Ethan loves columns.
Yeah, multiple copies. Send me all the copies.
Wow.
Yeah, fuck columns.
Hey y'all, don't forget to subscribe to them Button Mappers.